My overarching feeling right now is it's just a bummer because like I didn't come into the season thinking they were a playoff team. I really at no point truly bought into them as a playoff team.
No,
like
didn't.
February, I was still saying I think they're going to miss. Last month, I finally was like, okay, I think they're going to make it, but not because I'm incredibly high on them, but because everyone else sucks just as badly because the Devils and the Penguins seem to be out of it at the time. And everybody they were battling with is also the same kind of mediocre the Flyers are. So I'm not angry. I get why fans are. I'm not. It's just a bummer because there were so many good things about this season.
Yeah.
And now anyone rightfully, they made their bed. Like, I'm not absolving them. But all anyone is going to remember about the season is the collapse.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's it.
Yes. Every bit of goodwill that was built up over the course of this season. And there was quite a lot of it.
Quite a lot of it, actually.
The vibes were good there for quite a long time. It is gone.
Yeah.
I sat right in that chair after that Boston win not too long ago. And I told Bill, there's no way we're missing the playoffs. Because after that win, I was so high on them. And that was like a hard fought win as well. And here we are. Here we are laughing at ourselves over the belief of the team. No, it truly does suck. And like, obviously we're going to talk about who's to blame and whatnot. But to think that we were in a position to make the playoffs this deep. I know a lot of us are mad because we were in a position, but the way I look at it, like I have to look at it with a little bit of optimism. This all has been a plus because I did not think that this Flyers team was going to be in this type of position. So the fact that they've been pushing to this point, this deep into the season, I have to think like it is a plus, and hopefully they do learn something from this. That's the only thing I can think of, but it's collapse. Really has sucked.
Yeah, I feel like maybe in like a few weeks,
too soon.
We can maybe take a step back and talk about the good things. Right now, I can't speak for the entire fan base. I don't think most of the fans want to look at the good things right now.
No,
to me, it's just a bummer that you can't look at the good things anymore.
Yeah.
Because there are a lot.
Stinks.
But right now, it completely feels like this was all just a waste of time and that they just built everyone up just to tear them down in uniquely Flyers fashion as they are wont to do.
And not only that, it's hard not to think like, well, were all of the things that I thought were good this season, like, were they real or were they just aberrations that will never be repeated? Like, did players actually take steps forward? Were players better than we thought they were going to be? Or was all of this just luck and happenstance and actually all these guys suck and what we're looking at now is the real thing and it's what we're going to be looking at for the next few seasons? Like, I know that's a little bit dramatic, but it is kind of like, well, fuck. Is Travis Konechny as good as I thought he was? I don't know. I was feeling rather convinced, and now I'm not so sure about anything, really.
I think the thing, too, that makes this harder is that it's coming against such shitty opponents. If they would have collapsed and had the 7-game losing streak during the gauntlet, if they would have just dropped all 7 games,
just the wildest
I
thing.
honestly think that people would have been less pissed off.
Yes,
because
100%.
It would have been like, all right, you know what? Like, this was a fun year.
They tried.
They gave it their best shot, but they're just not as good as these teams. They're just not. But they made it through. Like, they didn't make it through unscathed. They didn't have a great record, but they made it through.
They did good enough.
Still in a playoff spot. They won 2 games. They lost 2 more in overtime. They hung in there. And then you were like, okay, the rest of the way is much more manageable. To collapse against these teams, that's what makes it feel like this isn't just, their lack of talent caught up with them, that it's something else.
No, there's something else
That it's something else that drove this. Because if it was just them losing to teams that were better than them, they would have lost all 7 games in the gauntlet. Instead, they survived the gauntlet, and then they lose to Montreal, Chicago, Columbus, Buffalo. Like, these are the teams the Flyers should beat.
You're supposed to beat them.
Unless the Flyers are just a really bad team that was going through with smoke and mirrors for 75 games. And this is actually their true talent level. I actually don't think that's the case.
It feels like it can't be.
I don't think that's the case. But that's the only explanation aside from something else went wrong.
We all silly like the mayor.